Welcome back to this Celebrating Pride podcast. This is the series which is exploring the experiences, stories and hot topics related to pride in healthcare, recorded with our panel of speakers earlier in 2023. We really hope you enjoy it. Today's episode is the 7th in our series, and we're discussing what the term allyship means.
We hear the term allyship. We don't hear allyship within communities and inclusion. I think it's a term we use a lot. I wonder whether it might be something worth defining. How would you define allyship?
Maybe one of the EDI leads could help us here.
Oh, Andy, thanks. As me and Beckie seem to be taking it in turns to answer as you're throwing curveballs at us there, Andy. So it might be easy to say what allyship isn't, and allyship isn't a badge to wear. It's not a thing that you own or a thing that you get because you once challenged something. It's something that you have to live and do constantly. So, you know, the example that I'd maybe use is if you know that one of your colleagues is from the LGBTQ community, they're in the room, you're in the room, and other colleagues are, and a slightly inappropriate, homophobic or transphobic joke is made, you might speak up in that scenario. But if that LGBTQ colleague wasn't in the room, would you still speak up? And if the answer to that is yes, that is allyship, because it's not just doing it to earn the brownie points and the badge to say, you know, my best mate is X, therefore I'm going to defend that group of people. It's about how you do that continuously through everything that you do. It is something you have to live and breathe. So there is a difference between allyship and active allyship, and it is that active element that you have to do. So I'll go back to what I said before. You know, if you just put a pride flag up in the window, that's not allyship. That's just putting a pride flag up in the window of the surgery. Allyship is about, you know, doing all of that other stuff. So the training, the asking about pronouns, the changing the forms and how you introduce yourself, and having, you know, the yellow "my name is" badges with your pronouns on there for every single member of staff. Those kinds of things, that shows more towards the end of active allyship, because it's a continuous thing rather than just hanging a pride flag in the window. Does that sort of answer the question, James and
Yeah,
Andy?
well, I mean certainly, it's a term you hear a lot, and I think that, you know, knowing sort of what people are aiming at when they say that, I think is quite useful for people to help put themselves in that sort of that headspace. And I think you know, just kind of thinking with my hat on as a GP, or don't get hats, that would be quite nice. But with my GP hat on, I'm actually thinking that there's probably an opportunity for showing that within general practice, and, you know, and increasing that inclusivity and increasing that kind of comfort, increased ability to access services. There's probably work there for us to do. Laurence?
I think Robbie makes a really good point. There's a discussion around allyship being an upstander. So I'm sure you're familiar with the term bystander. So we see something that happens and goes past us and we don't really react. But an upstander, somebody that as an ally acts when they see something wrong. And I think that's really an important example. I think the other aspect to it as well that I've only recently come across is more about that being a confidant as well. So somebody who isn't part of the LGBT plus community, for example, could be, is the ally creates a safe space for that person to express their fears, their frustrations and their needs to, that can help them have that conversation, that can help them understand what their next place to go is, that sort of listens to stories and experiences and sort of, you know, doesn't dismiss them, you know. And I think that's the important thing, you know. It's about listening to that individual that sort of is experiencing challenges and discrimination. The ally is the one that sort of sits and listens to them, you know, and is that empathetic, is that kind person that is able to do that, alongside of the, you know, challenging when we need to challenge.
Just one last point as well, James, because I completely agree with you, Laurence. I think it's worth just saying, because we've spoken about kind of right back at the start of this podcast about the diversity within the LGBTQ plus community. I am both part of it and an ally to it. So I am an ally to my to those who are lesbian, who are trans, who are bi, who are intersex, who are asexual, who are pansexual, who are gender fluid, who are any other identity and no identity within that community, and also to the other gay men within that community who will have had very different experiences to me growing up, or currently, or in their personal lives or work lives, etc. So I think it's also really key to understand in such a diverse community that actually we can be part of it and be allies to it as well. And I think that's also really fundamental. I will absolutely be an active ally, and am, to the trans community, because it's such a disadvantaged part of the wider LGBTQ plus community, and I'm that's something that I'll never back down from. And I think it's really important. I am to all, to the whole community, but just as an example. And I think it's something that is worth being overt and saying that you can be in a community and be an ally to it as well, to make sure that none of us get left behind as such, and we support each other through the challenges that do come with being LGBTQ.
Brilliant. Wonderfully put there. Thank you very much, Robbie, and thank you everybody for your comments around that topic, because it's evidently a tricky one. It's evidently a one that we need to work towards and figure out actually how we navigate that and do the best for our patients, and bring colleagues in, and bring them in and help with education, as we've mentioned a few times.
Thank you for listening today. We're coming to the end of this series, and in our final episode we will share our key reflections and take-home messages. We hope you've really enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we've enjoyed making it, and if you haven't heard the other episodes, have a look back. There's a lot to take home. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you at the next podcast.